All right. Thanks for tuning in once again to more golf talk on Proline TV. It is a Monday night. Yes, we are back after taking off the last few weeks. And trust me, I had to take the last few weeks off because after watching Aaron Rai win the PGA championship, all the time and effort put into handicapping golf, and that was pretty weak. Aaron Rai will go down in history, sort of like JJ Spawn. I mean, we've had what now in the last 4 or 5 majors? We've had Aaron Rai and JJ Spawn winning. What's going on here? And the last couple of weeks weren't the top events, and I just felt I need some time off. So I'm back, and we've got a signature event. Oh, I want to remind everybody that you can check out the community page right here at Proline TV, because whenever I am not on the air, if I do not post it on the X account, the official X account of Proline, or on my Twitter X account, which is at PrimeSN, you can find it in the description area of this video. I do always 100% will post it in the community page of Proline TV right here. So you just got to go to the community page. And if there's not a show on, I will have the picks. Okay, so last week we came pretty close with the picks. Alex Smalley was one of our top picks, and he just continues to play excellent golf and came really close within one stroke of a playoff, but it just didn't work out for Smalley or for us. So we move on, and we'll see if we can get things rolling along here in a signature event. This is Jack's event. This is the Memorial at Muirfield Village. And we're going to go through everything. As you can see right there, it's on bent grass, so keep that in mind. Pretty long. It's a pretty long golf course, almost 7,600 yards. And so they've really toughened this thing up, though. If you have to go back to about, I believe it's like 2019, when Patrick Cantlay went ballistic on the golf course. I think it was like 20 under par or something like that, or maybe even worse. And Jack was like, we can't have that happen here. So they toughened up the golf course. And since the restoration, the last 3 winning scores have been 7 under, 8 under, and 10 under. So that's exactly what Jack wants. All right. So it's a tougher golf course. It is equally tough as the one we saw last week. So keep that in mind. It's and I like these courses. These are the ones I like the best. I love winning scores right around 8 to 12 under par. It's perfect. It's a sweet spot. I know it's not easy to do. Weather, you never know when the weather's going to come in and all that other stuff. But I think they've got it down really well here. I'm not surprised since it's Jack's event. Okay, so it is the 3rd year for the signature event here, so you got to keep that in mind. If you want to take a look at how the field changed to the toughest in the world, it's only been the last 2 years, so I think that's important. Let's move on to let's go next to the similar courses. All right, so here they are. These are the similar courses we're going to be working with. All right, so you got that there. Let me now move on to the key trends. Okay, and I think these are some pretty important trends. Matter of fact, the one that is not on the screen, I think this is really, really important. And I wanted to explain it. That's why I didn't want to put it on the screen. But if you look at the last, where is it? Okay, the last, really you can go back to the last 9 winners. All right, so let's just take a look at 9, all right? But before we get to the 9, I'm going to take a look at the last 7. Okay, so the last 7 winners averaged a world ranking of 8.2. All 7 ranked in the world rankings at 20 or better. Top 20, last 7 winners of this event. Now, if you go back, if you go to the 8th, who's that 8th one? Who's that 8th player? Well, that was Bryson DeChambeau. He was 38th in the world at the time he won. Where did he end up that year? 5th. What's the 9th winner? Well, that's Jason Dufner. Jason Dufner was 65th in the world at the time. That's a major winner. All right. So what we're saying here is the cream of the crop really does come and play and want to win this event, because unlike some of the others, even Bay Hill, and they all want to win that too, and some of these other events where you have these prestigious players that are like, it's their event. This is one where Jack is still alive and he's still a major ambassador to the sport, and it's a big deal. All right. And now, even more so, the last couple of years, throw on top a lot of money, and no major next week. Okay. This Canadian Open next week. Then you get the US Open. So there's nothing holding anybody back this week from playing their best financially and for the prestige of it. Now, the players who are not going to be here notably are Victor Hovland and Colin Morikawa. So with Morikawa, you got to believe it's definitely he was trying to get healthy for the stretch run and the majors that are still left. Not sure why Hovland's not playing this week. He is a former winner here, so maybe he's dealing with an injury as well. I haven't really checked, but he's out. Okay, now, so you see these trends here. So it's going over the others. Let me make sure there's no others that I did not put on here. And I think we're good. All right. So these are the ones you really want to be keeping an eye on. I think these are the most important. Let's now move on, and let's get to, I'm going to post up the main group as I go through the key stats that you want to be keeping an eye on. All right. So, and just an overview of the course. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of water on this course. You got 11 of the 18 holes have water. You've got rough that's pretty substantial. I think it's 3 to 5 inches, something like that. As far as what is important. All right. So the stats that I put down as the most important, I have 7 actually. I've got approach, off the tee, around the green. I also have sand saves, par 5, 175 to 200 on the irons, 200 or greater on the irons. All right, so those are the ones that I'm going to go with the most as far as the stats. You've got, with the new restoration and everything like that, the course got a lot more difficult off the tee. So that's the reason we've got that particular stat there. You've got a huge premium on making sure that you drive the ball the longer and in the fairways, the better. So, it's that old axiom, right? I mean, it's not that. It's interesting because there are some stats like total driving and a few others that I just don't use, because it's almost like, well, of course, these are important. They're important everywhere. But yeah, matter of fact, if you look at it, like as far as the winners of this event, even over just the last several years, let me go ahead and just go through them here. Of course, you got Scotty winning the last 2 years. So, and we're going to get into him in a minute. But when you take a look at the players, it's not every player here is just somebody that is just a bomber, or you don't have to be a power player. Let's just put it that way, right? As much as there's a premium on length, it's also important that you just can't hit the ball hard and then not be in the fairway. So that's why it really is going to happen. You're going to have a really good week as far as that's concerned off the tee. That's why it's very important. But I was just getting back to the point that, of course, whoever has a little bit more power in the game is going to benefit from it, especially if they're on the fairway. You just don't want to be off the fairway here. So the rough is definitely going to cause penalty after penalty after penalty. I mean, you don't want to be outside the fairway. Okay. So whatever the case may be, even if you have to, because there are going to be a lot of quality players here that don't have a power game. Just look at Russell Henley, who won last week. And I suspect he'll play well this week. I really do. And he does not have a power game. Okay. So just keep that in mind. As much as it's an advantage, you can still clearly win here as long as you do a good job of staying on the fairway. Matter of fact, I got a quote here from just a few years ago from Ricky Fowler. For the most part, it's a second shot golf course. So you have to be able to put yourself on the right side of the hole, on the right section of the green, which can definitely make a difference. Now, we've talked about this before with certain greens, and they have it here. They're not big greens, but there's contour in it. And whenever there's contour in greens, especially if they're not humongous greens, what have we said? It's where you land the ball on the greens to take advantage of staying away from certain undulations and things that are going to play tricks with your ball on the greens. So that's why very important approach, very important with the irons that I mentioned, all that stuff. And then around the greens, of course, because the greens are not huge. So there's going to be a lot of that. And you're going to have to play really well around the greens. That's where the sand saves come in as well. Lots of bunkers. So yeah, but again, lots of shots are going to come in here from 175 to 2 and 2 up. So you keep that in mind. That's the reason why I put that in there. But you really, I mean, the players that have a really good short game, I think that's the one stat that I would look at the most is the short game. So that's the one that I think is the most important of them all, besides the obvious staying on the fairway. All right. So I would look at that. Stay on the fairway and be really good around the greens. All right. So if you can do that combo, because the putting does not need to be, it's not considered one of those events where you're going to need to be an expert putter here. All right. So I mean, in other words, I'll just throw somebody out there. Hideki Matsuyama. He's been known to struggle on certain greens this year. It's been kind of holding him back a little bit. He's not going to have to worry about that here. And he's a former champ. So maybe not too much of a big surprise as far as that's concerned. But again, lots of bunkers. And par 5 I mentioned is going to be important because you want to take advantage of the scoring there. And if you can do that, that's great. Once again, you don't have to be a bomber to take advantage of the par 5s. And a couple of golf courses too. I didn't have that on there, but just keep in mind a couple of golf courses that are considered the most long and difficult. Take a look at the PGA Championship in 2021. That was at South Carolina, Ocean Course, South Carolina, 2021. They also had it in 2012, but we're going back. And Torrey Pines. All right. So I would look at that. I'd look at Torrey Pines, and I would look at the PGA Championship in 2021 on top of the courses I've already mentioned. Now, let's get into it. Okay, here we are. These are the main group of players. And let me put this over here. Lots of paperwork. Okay. So here, look, this is one of those events. Remember, if you've watched a lot of my handicapping programs, I probably say this a lot, which is a couple things. One, I very rarely like to take golfers or drivers in NASCAR if they are in the 3-to-1 range. I mean, that's like the limit. Like maybe like in NASCAR, I do it a little bit more than golf. But in golf, man, 3-to-1 is tough. Anything can happen in golf, as we know. No matter how hot you are, it is very difficult. And 3-to-1 is just a really tough number to bet with. But there are times, and it's usually just a few times a year, where I'm like, you know what? I would just go for it. It just makes sense. If you're going to do it, do it. And this is probably one of those weeks that I would consider, or I would say to consider that. You know, there's no coincidence that Scotty's won this event the last 2 years. Scotty's game, for the things that he struggled with, especially even this year, he didn't have to worry about that as much in this event. And a lot of the stuff that he's best at is really good for this course. So it really suits Scotty's game. And so that's why it's no surprise in his last 4 trips out of 5, third, first. Okay, so I don't think you can go wrong with taking Scotty and one and done either. And maybe if you've mapped out your one and dones over the year, you might have said that to yourself. Well, this would be perfect. I'm going to hold Scotty maybe for one major and one signature, and this would be a signature. Why wouldn't it be? Now, the only thing is he's working against some tough odds in winning 3 straight events. That is very tough to do, especially against the best in the world. So that's what you're working against. But man, everything's good about it as far as his game. I think the one thing though that will hold him back and continues to hold him back, like it did at the PGA, is the putter. Okay, the putter is no longer on fire like it was last year or even maybe earlier in the year a little bit. But really, the putter's kind of been holding him back. Now, look, some other things have held him back, some of his iron game, but for the most part, and this iron game is not going to hold him back. So that's not. There's no negatives there with the 175, especially. So I wouldn't worry about that. And especially again, the one thing I would is just the putter, but you can do about that. And overall, check this out. In his last 5 events this year, he's got 3 runner-ups, a 3rd, and a 14th. And I just told you what he's done here. So this is more than I've spent talking about Scotty than, I don't know, maybe any event we've talked about, and I think it's deserved. So there you go. I think Scotty, and this is the other thing I've talked about a lot. Whenever you have a player that has a really short odds, then what you want to do is you want to try to find a parlay or something if you could. So for instance, I went into the weekend and I had to for NASCAR, and there was Denny Hamlin who actually won. So he was like 4-1, 3-1, same thing odds wise. But I'm not doing that. I'm putting out that kind of money in NASCAR, like I said. So what I did was I decided I'm going to do a parlay. And what I found, because I was lucky enough, because there was a night race on Sunday, so I was able to get 2 golf events, as you might remember. This took place. You had the LIV and you had the DP World Tour. And so I went with the player that was leading by 1 stroke going into the DP World Tour match in Austria. Because he was 2nd the week before. And this is a Japanese player that had been really good overseas and or in Japan. I mean, everything's overseas for us. But and then he was 2nd the week before. So I figured, okay, he's got the lead now. All right. And he was a short price. He was about, I don't know, 2-1 or 150. And then there was the LIV players, and it was Gooch and it was Neiman. And I had to decide which one to take. And I said, well, I'm going to go with Neiman, because Gooch was a long shot. Neiman wasn't. And I wasn't going to take Gooch at that number, which was a little bit better. You were getting about 3-1 or 4-1 with Gooch, but it was like 2-1 with Neiman. But that's what I did. I went with Neiman and I don't even know, it's Kaneko, I think his name is, something like that, the Japanese player, and then Hamlin. So basically I had like plus 150, like plus 200 and plus 300 with Hamlin. And I only had to put a few bucks down. That's it. I mean, I think I put down like $4 to make 100. So it hit. I hit the 2, and I didn't even have to worry about Hamlin now. Now I didn't have to worry about Hamlin as the favorite. Even if I didn't take him because I wasn't going to invest that money, I wouldn't have to worry about him beating me, which he actually did. So that benefited. That worked out. It all worked out. Now, that would be my suggestion is, hey, if you're somebody that likes to bet a few $100 when you're doing golf, and if you're thinking about Scheffler, hey, mix some parlays in. I know you can't do the ones like I did, but hey, you got baseball, you got the NBA, there's game 1, NHL game 1. So do stuff like that. Okay. So now as far as the rest of the main group, I think this is a good week to pass on McIlroy. McIlroy, interestingly enough, has never won here and only has a couple of top 5s. He didn't play here last year. He was 15th in 2024 signature events. So he really hasn't shown it here. And for the second choice at 10-1, it's still a low number. I mean, Scotty's number is ridiculous, but it's still a low number at 10-1. I'm going to pass on Rory this week. And again, it's only because it's a low number. That's all. Of course, he's more than capable of coming out and winning this week. Cameron Young, though, I would like a little bit better if I was choosing and getting a little bit more on Young. He's been just as good, if not better, than Rory this year in totality. He's got 4 top 5s in his last 7 with 2 wins. He's also done well on some of the courses I talked about, including winning Wyndham last year. And there's nothing wrong with his game as far as what you need to do to win here. The only thing is he's played here 4 times, and he's never been under par. His best score is 4 over, and he was 25th last year. That's the best result, the best score at this golf course for Cameron Young. He's a different player. We know that. But still, at 14-1, I'm going to pass on Cam. Schauffele has 7 top 25s out of 8 at this golf course, which is pretty good, right? But he only has 1 top 10 out of those 7. So not exactly been the best course for Xander in his career. I think he's a solid option. Once again, if you're thinking of a player that you believe is going to have a consistent, good, solid week, then there's Xander. I guess that's really what makes Xander special, is that he's very consistent. He's sort of like that player, sort of like Russell Henley last week. Very, very consistent. But Xander has been not just consistent, but then he goes ahead and wins bigger events than Russell has. Anyway, so I think Xander, who won the Open Championship 2024, so keep that in mind, is somebody that you want to keep an eye on. But I think there are other options, and we'll keep going. Fitzpatrick, I don't like the way his putter's going on bent grass lately. He's really struggling there. That concerns me. But he's got the Valspar win this year, so I think that's really good. And he's got 2 wins and a runner-up in his last 6 events this year. So just like Cam Young, he's still hot. He was 5th here a couple of years ago, so that's a good sign. Most of his stats are very good here, except the putter. But again, that would be the only thing that would concern me. The good thing about Matthew Fitzpatrick is he's 20-1. So I think you're getting a good number. And that's why if I'm looking at taking the McIlroys, the Youngs, the Schauffele's, the Fitzpatricks, I think Fitzpatrick might be the better way to go because of pure value. Same thing even maybe with Cameron Young, but not Oberg. I'm really surprised that Oberg is considered the 3rd choice here. He didn't really do anything last week. So, and he was, I'm not saying that he was necessarily dialed in, with this event coming up, but hey, it's not a major, so look, he's really playing well, lots of top 10s and top 5s, but it's the same old with him at this point. He really has got to get over the hump and close an event and win an event. And I'm okay with Oberg at 18 or 20-1, but why is Oberg at 14-1 and Fitzpatrick's at 20-1? That doesn't make any sense. And what is he doing tied at 14-1 with Cam Young? So I'm sorry, but there's just no value with Oberg, none whatsoever. All right, now Henley winning back, I think is going to be really tough, as we all know. But he's a very consistent player. He was 5th here last year. I think the problem is that a few of the main stats that you need to win here kind of work against it, including a struggling punter on bent grass. Okay. Now, the player that jumps off the screen here, though, for me is Siwoo. And I've got to go with Siwoo. Now, what's the one thing that has been holding Siwoo back all year? As we know, and really for years, it's the putter. It's the thing that just holds him back. Well, you know what? He's on absolute fire right now on the putter on bent grass. So you can't time to take Siwoo Kim right now. This is the perfect time. And the event, 10 of 10 cuts, never missed it. 50% top 20s, a couple top 10s, 1 top 5. And all the other stats are still going really well because he's had a great year. It's always been the putter. That's it. It's the only thing holding him back. And now he's got bent grass, which has been really good for him on the putter lately. And he's coming off the 2nd at Byron Nelson. He's got a really good resume at Wyndham as well, including a win. So I think you have to look at Siwoo Kim this week. 100% have to look at it, and we'll see whether or not he can kind of get that bad runner-up out of his mouth, because that was really that was disappointing. I mean, Wyndham Clark just buried him with that, 63 on Sunday? I mean, that's tough to take. But that's a goofy golf course. That was the first one that we had to deal with after the PGA, and that's another reason why I wanted to avoid it. they shouldn't even play anymore. You know what's funny too is that they talked about changing the golf course. They had a redesign of that crappy golf course several years ago. Like, oh, we're changing it because we're going to make it tougher and this and that and the other thing. And what tougher? It's still a joke. That golf course should not be in the PGA Tour. It's terrible. Anyway, Siwoo to me is a must play this week. And Tommy is also somebody I'm considering. He's been getting better and better in his 4 appearances here, 16th in his last appearance here. But I am concerned with the miscut at the PGA. And I've been saying recently that he's just off on his game a little bit, especially with the irons. And that's the thing that still would concern me. But he's had a little time off since the PGA. And I just think that he's somebody that I would consider, but not one of my top plays. But I would consider because I just get the feeling that, with the time off, because he wasn't playing poorly going into the PGA. So I think result-wise, but he's still not on top of his game. And that's why when there's some issues about your game and you go to a major and a tougher golf course, well, that's what's going to happen. Now, this is a tougher golf course too, as I said. And again, I'm not picking him, but just somebody maybe to consider. Okay, next up, let's move on. Let's go to the contenders. All right, so here are the contenders, and let's go through this one. And we're going to start right off the bat with our top pick, and that's going to be Ben Griffin. One of our top picks. All right, so Ben is coming off the big. Matter of fact, this is a good time of year for Ben Griffin. He was second here last year. He's just coming off what was he last week? Third. He also won the Charles Schwab last year. So he was first at Charles Schwab last year, third this year, second this event last year. Okay, so this is a good time of year for Ben Griffin. The only thing I'm a little bit disappointed with are the odds. 30-1 is really short, so I don't like that. And there are still a few parts of his game that are not really on par, so to speak, with where they need to be. So I'd be concerned about that. But I think the momentum he's showing recently is the most important. All right, because you can have a really bad 5 months to start the season, but if you start picking things up right away in the last few weeks, that's all you need. Confidence goes, and we're starting to see the results. 14th, third in the last 2 events, and so I think that to me trumps everything else. Is his recent style is heading in the right direction, and again, the only thing I'm concerned with is the 30-1. The other player here, one of the other players here I'm looking at is Goddard at 50-1. I think that's that's the only reason I like him is the value. This is a player that's normally around 30, 35. So I think at 50, I like it. If a sports book that you're using is 30, 35, I'm not with it. But, he's trending in the right direction. He's made 8 straight cuts overall. Hasn't made a cut here. He's over 2, but, I'm okay with that. It's not a prerequisite to win this event. Okay, moving on. Ricky's here at 40-1, but we're going to stay away from Ricky for at least an event because he's kind of cooled off the last 2. McNeely, is he here? Yeah, McNeely is somebody to consider. He was 5th here last year. He's made 8 straight cuts, even though none of them are top 10s. That does concern me. Few things about his game that are off, like strokes gained approach, 175 irons. But overall, this is a solid, consistent player. He's getting more consistent, I should say, lately at least. And the putter is also good on bent grass. So I would consider Maverick McNeely. I would also consider Justin Thomas. I think this is really more, if anything, I'm leaning towards Justin more of a gut thing than I'm going all stats. This is more because there's not a whole lot of stats working with you with Justin. He's only had 2 top 10s here out of 11 trips, 1 top 5. And he also, struggling with some part of his game, as we know. It's not perfect yet. But a couple of reasons I like him is form. Okay, last 3 events, form is really good, including the 4th at the PGA. and a good follow-up coming in here from last week. But also the putter is doing well. And maybe the thing that really puts me over the top, the odds at 35-1. Okay. I'm looking at 35-1 and I'm saying, yeah, I'll take Justin at 35-1. This is a player that normally when it's the meat of the season and it's a regular season and hey, what's Justin Thomas doing? Oh, he's playing really well the last 3 events. Almost won the PGA Championship. Oh, what are his odds this week? 20-1, 18-1, but we're getting 35-1, and that's going to put it over the top for me. I think you're getting good value there, and I'm hoping to take advantage of that fact before the odds do eventually drop. Also, I see Kurt Kitayama here, and as you know, we've been really good with Kurt. Or Kurt's been really good for us. We've taken him a bunch of times in the last few months. And matter of fact, his last 4 events, all top 20s with 3 top 10s. Very quietly, Kurt's been playing some good golf. He's got a win at the 3M Open last year. The putter on bent grass is going well. For the most part, his stats have been really good that you're looking for in this event. Another player, though, that's never made the cut. Okay, he's 0 for 3, but still, I'm going to go ahead and roll with Kurt Kitayama as a choice that you want to keep an eye on. Let's see. Who do we have? Anybody else here? Yeah, you know what? There's a couple more. Harris English, I think you want to consider. He's trending in the right direction. His best finish here last year was 12th. So I think that's a good combination. He's also been very good putting on bent grass. But I don't know. I have a hard time believing that Harris English, the 23rd ranked player in the world, is going to win this event, which would catapult him to probably top 10 status. I don't know if he has that in him. And again, he's never had a top 10 here either, but I'm not worrying about those past results. I just would rather go with how the player is going right now. Again, this is just a different, situation with the signature events and different fields and all that stuff that's involved. I still think it's a component that you have to take regarding past history and stats. I'm not saying throw that out the window. I'm just I'm a little bit more lenient this week on players that have never made the cut at this event. That's all I'm saying, based on their form and a few other things. Who else on this board here? Let's throw out my boy from last week, Alex Smalley. And I know, look, he's never made the cut here. He's 0 for 2. And I get that. And now he's playing with the big boys. You know what? When he played with the big boys a few weeks ago at the PGA, he nearly won the thing. And then he followed that up after the week off, coming back last week and nearly winning again. 1 shot off the pace. He's now in a run of 6 straight top 25s. And then in his last 2 events, he's finished 2nd and 3rd. Throw in the fact that the putter on bent grass has been very good. And really, most of his stats have been very good that you're looking for to win here. So I know it's a major step up, but the PGA Championship result, that's all I need, right? That's all I need to say that this is not going to be above him. I would like better than 40-1 odds, to tell you the truth. There are other players that are better players, like Chris Gotterup at 50-1. That's just one. So I'd like better odds for a player that's never won on the PGA Tour before, and it's asking an awful lot for him to win here. I get that. But I'm just going to go with a hot player. That's it. It's not going to be my top pick overall, but I'm going to go with a hot player, and I'm not going to pass up on a player that's playing as well as Alex Smalley is, so he can just bite me in the ass and make me regret passing on him. Okay, now let's wrap it up with the long shots. All right, and here they are. And out of these long shots, winners this year, Batia and Clark. I like them because they're getting really good value at 70-1 each. Batia's been better each time here. Matter of fact, he's gone from 7 over, 4 over to 1 over. Miscut 22nd, 16. So I like that. His stats are pretty good across the board. He's even been solid with the putter on bent grass. He's been really hot lately with his iron play. I think that's a good combination. Not only is it good with the iron play, but also around the greens, second in sand save percentage. And then Wyndham Clark, if you look at him, the stats that you really want working for you have the iron play, 175, 200. He's really on there. Same thing with strokes gained approach, and maybe even more importantly, the putter. He is on fire right now on bent grass. And this is a player, though, the one thing that's holding me back from saying, oh, a definite pick is just the fact that, he just won. All right. And Wyndham Clark is not one of these players that is consistent. I've just talked about consistent players a little while ago. Well, he's not consistent. That's not Wyndham Clark. But the stats are so good, and he's coming off of a win, which is obviously a good thing. He's got the confidence now. But he's only had one top 15 in his appearances here out of 6. Sort of like I said, though, with the missed cuts. And I think another reason why I probably am also disregarding the missed cuts or one top 15 but he has never had a top 15 is because the golf course is so tough, especially in the last few years when a lot of these players have been playing and having bad results. That I'm willing to forgive them for that because, hey, if your game is just off a little bit on a tough golf course, you're in trouble. All right, who else do we have here as far as the long shots that I'm going to take? Oh, Sepp Straka. Really like Sepp Straka here. Sepp Straka, if you look at him, check this out. In his 6 appearances here, his score has been improved in all 6. So he's gone from 11 over par in his first appearance here to 5 under par last year, each getting better. Last 2 years, he's finished 5th and 3rd. The thing and the iron game has been excellent, really good, as good combo 175, 200 or more as anybody here. The problem is, which has really been holding him back when he's had bad results from time to time this year, is the putter. Now on bent grass, not as many as Bermuda, but that's also been really not working for him. And the other thing is he's coming over from Austria. All right. So he hasn't had to do that when you compare to what he's done here in past results. Now he's coming off. Usually he's had the week off. Now he's coming off from Austria. So that concerns me. It's not the same schedule. So, but he's 65-1. So it's a big number for a player that has a lot going for him. And don't forget, even though he's had not a consistent year either for Straka, but 4th at the Cadillac, 8th at the Players, runner-up at Pebble. So he has had his moments this year. Who else would I? Keegan Bradley. I'm going to throw him in there as a long shot. That's an okay long shot to consider, but he hasn't had a top 10 this year, so that definitely is concerning. But the iron game has been working for him. And even around the green, sand saves, that's been okay. So really the only thing that's really been affecting him has been his strokes gain approach and typically, the putter. Those are a couple of things that overall have affected him. He was 7th last year, one of his 3 career top 10s here. Not one of my top plays, of course, and not even one of my top long shots, but a long shot. That's why he's on the board. But I will go with Nick Taylor as an official long shot. He was 4th here last year. His game is really going well. The iron play has been really strong. If you look at it, around the green has been fantastic. Sand saves, all of that. Nothing. The only thing that's been off a little bit is the off the tee. That's it. That's the only part of his game that's been off. But everything else, including the 4th last year here, he's been playing some solid golf lately overall. And he's also had some pretty good showings at some of the similar golf courses. So I think at 100-1, he's a legitimate long shot. And we're going to talk about him and more when we go over the bargains to keep an eye on for DraftKings. And as far as other long shots, I think you should consider, I'd say go back to Cole and Meisner again. Why not? They played really well last week. Cole especially, I feel sorry for him. I mean, Russell Henley, 4 straight birdies to end the game. Come on. So Cole, sure, he's going to have to deal with that, and maybe it'll be a bad punch in the gut. But hey, both of them are now playing in a signature event because of it. Cole's got 3 top 15s in his last 4, second last week. And outside of his off the tee game being really bad right now, to tell you the truth, the fact is everything else a part of his game has been really good lately. And that's why he's been playing better with the results, especially around the green and the sand saves. So why not Cole? He's 100 to 1. Meisner is 80 to 1. His game is also really good. If you take a look at the stats, around the green has been good. The iron game has been good. His last 3 events this year, he has 2 top 10s and a top 5. He also was second at Wyndham last year and had good showings last year at the 3M Open and at Valspar. Tom Hoge, I think, is also one to consider. He was 7th last year, and he's also coming off of a 7th place finish in his last event. Wait, no. What was his last event? I don't have that here. I was looking at his 7th last year, but I know that his result-wise, it's not been a great year for Tom Hoge. That's why he's 250 to 1. But he has shown the last few events where he's kind of popping in early and he's kind of hanging around. But then by the 4th, Sunday comes around and it's just too much. He's just not playing well enough. But he's 250 to 1, and the putter has been really good. And that's something that you want to consider. The thing he has got going for him, the putter and the iron game. So it's not a bad combination for a 250 to 1 shot coming off a top 10 in his last event, especially if you're looking at bargain for your contest. Let me make sure that's it before we move on. Just taking a look at everybody. I think that is it. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our picks. So these are our official picks. So we're going to go with Siwoo, Griffin, JT, Smalley, and Straka. So again, I think this is a great week to take Siwoo. Again, Griffin, I also believe this is a perfect week to take him. JT, a little bit of a gut call there. Smalley's hot, and you know what I feel about Straka. And then for my one and dones, this is what I'm going to do. I was considering Alex Smalley. I was considering Sepp Straka. I still have a couple of days to decide if that's the way I want to go. But I'm definitely going with Ben Griffin. And with Justin Thomas, again, I think the main thing is, hey, it's a signature event. I still have him available in both of my one and done contests. And I think this, why not? I don't expect many other people to take them. So maybe it's a good week to do that. Okay. And then let's wrap it up with the contest here. Okay. So this is what I put through so far. Now I was considering going with Scheffler, but when you've got to put Scheffler in there, man, they are really making it difficult for you to put it's got to be like 4 long shots in there. So I'm just going to go all out with Scotty not winning this week. Maybe he'll finish 4th. And then maybe a lot of other people will take him, and it'll be my benefit, especially if I can get a win. And that's what you're trying to do here. You're trying to win this thing without Scotty winning. And if you can do that, you got a chance. So these are the players I like. Griffin, Kim, Kitayama, Straka, Smalley. Those are my top 5 this week. Showed you the picks. Batia makes it because of where he is. So if you take a look at the options, really right around here, I think he's, one of the better ones. I don't like a lot of these options here in this middle portion. I think Wyndham Clark, just like I showed you with Batia before, I like him. He's playing well, but I prefer to go to Batia because he has limited, less play here, but better. And he's also, and he just didn't win. So I think that maybe working in Batia's favor. But I know that he's also more than capable, and he's playing pretty good as we went over before. But there's really not a whole lot else in that category. If you want to look at some other long shots, Meisner, as I mentioned, I'd probably look at, I mean, Gerard is someone maybe, but there's Taylor. Matter of fact, if I took Justin Thomas here, or let's say if I did a second contest, I would probably take out, let's see, I think, would it be Kitayama? Let's see. If I had to bring in, yeah, maybe. I think if I took out Kitayama and Batia, then, and I wanted Thomas, then that would leave me with 75. And actually, I could still go with Batia here. Yeah. So, yeah, I could take Batia or Taylor, but I could actually take Batia here. Okay. So even that, I think, is a good deal. So that's now other players that in the cheap, again, Taylor, if you want to save 6,800, I like that. Cole, 6,700, I like that. Let's see who else sticks out here. I mentioned Hoagie, he's even cheaper at 63. Echeverria had a big day on Sunday, he's 62. So maybe he'll carry some of that momentum over. Anybody else here? Not really that high on. Again, I mentioned Bradley. He's at 7. And now we start getting up a little bit higher. I'm intrigued by Nikolai. We'll see how he plays. You know how I feel about him. Kitayama is definitely a good choice as we went over. There's English. Not bad at 79. Goddard up at 82 is not bad. McNeely at 83. Those are some of the others. Okay. So that is going to do it. All right. So best of luck, everybody. We'll talk to you again real soon. I'm not sure if we'll be on next week for the Canadian Open, but we'll definitely be back for the U.S. Open. And as far as the rest of our coverage here at Proline TV, I'll be talking NASCAR tomorrow at 4 o'clock with CJ Radoon. So we're really kicking ass on our NASCAR coverage. So you can check that out. Again, Tuesday, 4 o'clock, every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. With CJ Radoon from rotowire.com. You can also tune in tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern for the Jim Feist handicapping show. Jim Feist, Andy Isco will preview the NBA playoffs, look at predictions for game 1, the predictions, maybe even props as well for the series. And then they're also going to talk about the big trade today in the NFL and how that affects the LA Rams, the Cleveland Browns, and the NFL with Myles Garrett going to the Rams. So that's coming up tomorrow. And then the rest of the week, Jim and Andy will join me on Friday. Every Friday is partnering with the Our Lads Football Network, where I do all of my daily shows for football, NFL, college interviews. I did the Green Bay Packers earlier today. We'll be doing 2 more tomorrow night, including the Philadelphia Eagles. Perfect timing with the A.G. Brown trade. Also, the boys will talk about that tomorrow. But every Friday for the next 7 weeks, we preview one division each in the NFL. We did the NFC South last week. This Friday, we're doing the AFC North. Good timing. So every Friday, 4 Eastern, right here at Proline TV, we're going to go over one division each in the NFL and let you know what we think. Win totals, Super Bowl futures. We'll go over the key offseason moves, which most of them are done. For the, you're only going to get a very small percentage of changes with your roster between now and opening day. But it's a great way to get a jump start on the NFL and college football. It's the reason why I do all that on the Our Lads Football Network. But in conjunction with the OFN, we're going to be doing it here at Proline TV every Friday. We did it last Friday. We do 7 more. And that'll lead us all the way up until mid-July when we're ready for training camp in the NFL. So that'll wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. Have a really good rest of the week. Enjoy the golf. Let's hope it's a fun week. Let's hope that let's pick a name out of the hat. Who could win this week, which we would go, really? Let's see. Let me pick a really. Let's see. Who could be under that category? Corey Connors? Or is that for next week with the Canadian Open? Yeah, Corey Connors. I think he's not playing well this year. So that's a good one, right? I might have to put a buck on him now just in case because I said it. Yeah, how about that? How about Corey Connors winning this week? That's kind of the way it's been lately. But okay, we'll see everybody again real soon here, and let's hope we have a good one at the Memorial. And I'll see everybody also tomorrow for some NASCAR coverage. Anyone interested? And I'll also see you on the Ourlads Football Network.